everybody. Welcome to the Beached Club. I'm Sherilyn Korber. I'm an indie author and the author of the paranormal series Beached, which is set in the fictional upscale beachside village of Bonfire Beach, South Carolina. The first two books in the series are available on Amazon, Apple Books, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, and Kobo, and I'm writing book 3 this summer. Every Friday evening throughout the summer, I am putting out a video in which I share fun tidbits and backstory of some of my favorite places and characters in the series that may or may not make it into the books for public consumption. I give an update on where I'm at in the writing of the new book. I talk about other hobbies and activities I'm involved in these days, such as upcoming paranormal investigations I have scheduled and fun 80s flashbacks I indulge in on my Facebook page, and I do giveaways. So welcome. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. This week was a little crazy in terms of my personal life and the amount of time I had available to devote to work. If you know me personally, you already know, and if you don't, I'm very open about this. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed on October 2nd, 2018 at the age of 47 after a routine mammogram, so I am a huge advocate of yearly mammograms. I had had one every year for 12 years, starting when I was 35, and they were all normal until the one that wasn't. So because I went every year, my cancer was caught very early. I had a lumpectomy, radiation, which I finished in March of 2019, and I now take a daily medication that essentially starves any remaining cancer particles that might be floating around in there, which I will need to take until at least 2029. Something I never knew before my diagnosis was that there are many different types of breast cancer, and not all of them can be treated with chemo. They did genome testing on my cancer and found that it was one of those that chemo wouldn't have had any effect on at all, so chemo was not part of my arsenal in wiping this thing out. Fortunately, I'm doing very well. I'm down to only needing to see my oncologist twice a year now, and this week was one of those visits. We had to drive nearly 2 hours to see her, which is totally worth it. She's wonderful, very knowledgeable in her field. She really takes her time with her patients. She never makes anyone feel rushed, which, not so fortunately, always results in her running way behind schedule. So we know to always allow an entire day and not schedule or plan on doing anything else on my doctor days. And this was just like all the others. We didn't get home till late in the afternoon. But a good report, everything looks great, so I don't need to see her again for a while. But anyway, the whole point of this entire story is that between losing a full day for my doctor visit and then other regular mundane life responsibilities, I didn't get as much writing done this week as I planned to. But I promised in last weekend's video that I would try to have a snippet of the new book to read for you and give you a sneak peek, and I do have one. I'm excited to share it with you. It involves the soul collectors. So I thought tonight, instead of talking about places around Bonfire Beach like I have before, I would talk instead about the soul collectors, what they're about, how my main character interacts with them, and then we'll have a premiere reading of the very first part of book 3 to come into existence, touch on a couple of other things real quick, and then do tonight's giveaway. It's a holiday weekend here in the U.S. If you're watching from somewhere else in the world, it's our Independence Day this coming Monday. So I am fully aware that watching YouTube videos is probably not very high on anyone's priority list this weekend. For those of you who do watch, I thank you, and I will try to keep this short so as not to take away from any celebratory activities. If you've read either or both of the Beached books, you're familiar with the soul collectors. If you're new to the Beached world, the soul collectors are the entire premise of the series. Soul collectors exist between this world and the next, the world of the living and the other side. They wait there to capture and feed on souls who are crossing over and making that journey, who were basically of weak moral character while they lived. My main character, Stacy Storm, is a psychic in the sense that the only sensitivity he has to the other side is the soul collectors and the souls that they have managed to corner in what he calls the void, that in-between. He can't see the souls, and he's only ever seen the soul collectors one time, but he can hear both the souls and the soul collectors. The souls flock to him because they recognize that he can save them. He can stand between them and the collectors and get them safely to the other side, and that's what he does. That's how he has achieved fame and fortune, by filming himself saving souls on his reality show, Soul Searchers. The collectors, however, want him to join their ranks and become one of them in the living world. He would then deliver the trapped souls directly to the collectors instead of helping them to the afterlife, and in return, the collectors would give him all of the gifts that those souls possessed while they were alive. power, charisma, anything and everything that would pretty much lay the world at his feet. The cost of that is Stacy's soul. The collectors can spy on the world of the living in water. That's the veil, if you will, between our world and the void. And anytime any part of Stacy is immersed in water in any form, whether it's the whole of him in the shower or just his hands washing dishes, he can feel them there. When he's in water, they can physically touch him if they choose to. The only time they can't touch him in water is if it's holy water, blessed water. He uses holy water to psychically enter the void and search for trapped souls to save. And the collectors are there and they taunt him, but they can't touch him in holy water. It's only in regular water that they can touch him. The only time they've ever physically interacted with him is the one and only time he's ever seen them, when he was a teenager, before he even understood that he had this gift, and he had certainly never heard of the soul collectors before. They pulled him underwater in his high school swimming pool and showed themselves to him to make him aware that they were there, and they were waiting. But it was a couple more years before he met the man who explained to him exactly what he had seen and why, and that man was a United Methodist pastor named Mike Reynolds. Pastor Mike, as Stacy calls him, has been Stacy's advisor and guide in dealing with the collectors ever since. Stacy's downfall came about when, out of the blue, very abruptly, the collectors and the souls suddenly disappeared. He stopped hearing their voices, he stopped sensing them in water. When he used holy water to enter the void and look for them, they were gone. And this first season of Beached focuses on Stacy trying to launch his comeback. He is purchased and moved into a mansion in Bonfire Beach, where a teenage girl named Ruby murdered her entire family. The mansion sits on sand dunes overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. In the entryway is a huge floor-to-ceiling indoor water wall. He has a swimming pool. So his rationale is that between the mansion's history and the fact that it's surrounded by water inside and out, the soul collectors are bound to return from wherever it is that they have gone. Ruby was certainly the type of soul they prey upon. This has to work in his mind. This is his whole rationale. He is desperate to get back on top for reasons that Pastor Mike frowns upon. He believes that Stacy is being guided by his own ego by this point, and he wants to use the collectors and the souls for his own gain, much as he had when he made a TV show about his gift. And the pastor believes that Stacy's interaction with the collectors over the years has corrupted him and begun to turn him into one of them, even though Stacy has always refused to join them. And should the collectors return and invite Stacy again, is Stacy still strong enough to resist them when they can give him the means to regain everything he has lost? In other words, will he finally give them his soul to get what he wants? So that's the dilemma. Stacy has tried everything to find the collectors. So far, nothing has worked. At the end of the second book, Beached 102 Low Tide, he began to seriously consider offering himself up to them and was deterred. That's the closest he's come to ever actually becoming one of them. But what exactly stopped him? We don't know. And if he had gone through with it, would the collectors have shown up? We don't know that either. So that is the premise of the series, and that's what we're dealing with as we go into Book 3, Beached 103. The official title is still being finalized. Now, the sneak peek I'm going to read for you tonight is not the beginning of the book. I always have a rough outline of the book I'm working on before I start writing, but I don't write in order. Years and years ago I did. I couldn't imagine writing out of order. Now I do. I write what's in my head. Sometimes I'm excited to write a certain series. Oh gosh, can't talk. Sometimes I'm excited to write. There we go. A specific scene. It won't leave me alone. That's all I can think about. Sometimes I need to know how a specific part of the story goes so I can work out how to connect important plot points that come before and after. Sometimes I just start writing like a stream of consciousness and it turns into something that becomes part of the book. Whatever. I love to write. I love to have fun while I'm writing. So if that means I need to go back and piece everything together and do a ton of edits to smooth it all out, I'm okay with that. I just have fun. This scene is one I've been looking forward to doing for a while. I've always known it was coming. It may change a bit as the rest of the book comes to fruition, but it definitely will not be cut. It's too integral to the story. In addition to what you're about to learn happens, you also get sneak peeks of two new characters who I've also been so excited to finally introduce. If you've read Beached 102 Low Tide, you're familiar with a man named Reese, who owns Halftime, the local sports bar outside Bonfire Beach, and who has befriended Stacy, and you're aware that Reese is divorced and has a child who has never been identified by name or gender. You're also aware that at the very end of the book, a group of local kids break into Stacy's mansion and trash the place, and that one of them, a boy named Leo, has agreed to work with Stacy and make all of the repairs himself. So in this scene, we meet Leo again. We also meet his best friend, Jedi, and we meet a woman named Dawn Michelle. Dawn Michelle is Jedi's mom and Reese's ex-wife. We finally lay eyes on the woman Reese has made clear he does not think very highly of. And Jedi is Reese's child. Now we know. Jedi is Reese's son. I love these two, and I am going to have so much fun writing them. I'm so glad I finally reached the point in the series where I can bring them in and establish them in the cast, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. So to set the scene, briefly, Jedi has been tagging along with Leo to help make repairs at the mansion, and the two of them have kind of won Stacy over. They're good kids. They don't necessarily know what they're doing, but they work hard. Stacy knows that Reese is Jedi's dad, so that kind of works in their favor. But up till now, Stacy has never met Dawn Michelle. So there's a lot that goes on before this particular event that you're going to have to wait for the book to come out to find out about. For our purposes, right now it's not important. I'm just giving you enough background info so you understand who these people are. In this scene, Leo and Jedi have been swimming in Stacy's pool, while Stacy and Dawn Michelle sit on the patio by the outdoor fireplace and talk. Stacy avoids water whenever he can. He needs it, hopefully, to lure the soul collectors in, but he doesn't like being around it himself. He never has, and he's never even dipped a toe in his own pool. He doesn't mind Leo and Jedi playing in it, just so it can be used. He keeps a close eye on them whenever they're in it, though, for obvious reasons, even though he knows the collectors won't go after them. But the night is wrapping up, and Dawn Michelle and the boys are preparing to leave. So here we go. Dawn Michelle sighed and glanced at the gold watch on her left wrist, nearly camouflaged by a dozen gold tennis bracelets sporting numerous gemstones. "You know, we should probably get out of your hair," she commented. "It's getting late." She tipped back the rest of her Corona, chugging practically the entire bottle, Stacy noticed with morbid fascination, and she stood up, taking her 2 empty bottles as well as gathering up her cigarettes and lighter. "Boys, it's time to go," she hollered, heading for the house. "Now?" came the chorus. "Now!" They didn't argue, obediently dog-paddling to the side. Stacy stood up as well. "You can leave your bottles here, he told Dawn Michelle, who was clearly searching for a receptacle. "I'll take them inside with mine." "Okay." She set the bottles on the grill, then hoisted her garish purse with the fancy scroll designer's initials all over it, and looked him straight in the eye. "Thanks for the beer," she said, "and thanks for being so nice to my kid." His flustered embarrassment returned. "Sure," he mumbled. "If the 2 of you aren't out of the car by the time I put it in gear, we're coming," Jedi promised his mother. He wrapped himself up in the striped towel as Leo slapped with wet, flat feet over to the door ahead of Dawn Michelle, saying something about his clothes being in the entertainment room bathroom. "I'm going up to the car right now," Dawn Michelle told them both in a manner that sounded more like a threat than imparted information, then gave Stacy a half wave, half salute. "Good night. We can find our way out." "You sure?" "Sure. We'll close the front door behind us. Don't worry." He was pleasantly surprised to find that he wasn't worried. "Okay, good night." Dawn Michelle turned and strode into the house, crossing the entertainment room and disappearing into the stairwell as Jedi busily scrubbed himself dry while stepping into his battered orange flip-flops. Stacy handed him his black Nike t-shirt hanging over the back of Dawn Michelle's fireplace chair, followed by the glasses that were perched on the fireplace ledge. "If I were you, I'd hurry," he said soberly. Jedi chuckled. "Yeah. She always that rough on you?" "Yeah, but she doesn't mean it. She's a softie. Except when it comes to my dad, then she gets kind of postal." He'd suspected as much. "She seems like a pretty tough lady." "Yeah." Jedi shrugged into the shirt and slipped his glasses on. With his wispy black hair sticking up in wet spikes in every direction and his t-shirt hiding all his bony angles under a shapeless sort of tent, he struck Stacy as looking all too familiar, too much like a vulnerable 13-year-old memory for him to be comfortable with. "You want us to come back tomorrow?" he asked Stacy earnestly. Stacy hesitated only a moment. "No, you guys deserve a day off." Did he imagine it, or did Jedi look disappointed? "You sure?" he asked as Leo drifted out onto the patio. "Yeah, you've been working hard." Stacy looked at Leo, pointing at him slightly with his chin. "You guys take the day off tomorrow. I'll see you on Wednesday." Leo frowned, then gave a jerk of his shoulder. "Okay." He turned and ambled back towards the house. Jedi followed a moment later. "Night," they called in unison. "Good night. Have a good day tomorrow." "Okay." They stepped into the entertainment room and headed for the stairwell, leaving the patio door open. Stacy circled back around the shallow end of the pool, past the fireplace to the hot tub, and the hot tub to the control panel on the far side of the walkway to turn off the hot tub jets. When he would try to describe it later, the only word he could think of that was even remotely adequate was suction. He didn't feel hands on him, pulling him. He didn't feel a body or bodies slamming him sideways toward the pool. He literally felt as though he'd somehow gotten sucked into a vortex that yanked him off his feet and into the water before he even realized what was happening. The underwater lights were still on, and that somehow made the experience that much more terrifying, because just like the first time at age 16 he could see what was down there, only now he knew what they were and what they wanted. They lined the perimeter of the pool as far as he could see, all of them simply staring at him, and he could almost hear their voices in his head. "We were here before you, and we'll be here after you. Why are you fighting us?" An urgency pulsed around him like an underwater beacon, and he stared at them wildly, one after another after the other. Which of them was in charge? Why had they pulled him in? Why now? What was it that was making his eardrums scream? And who is that? A new one he'd never seen before, even in his nightmares. This one was different in a way he couldn't put his finger on. More vibrant, perhaps. More lethal, because I gave in, Stacy. So what does it all mean? Feel free to post your ideas down below in the comments. I would love to hear what you're thinking. So that is our Bonfire Beach segment for tonight. I am hoping to be able to share more snippets with you in the future. June was a really busy month for me. It seemed like every single week throughout the month I had at least one or two commitments that took away from work. So I've been feeling like I'm always scrambling just to keep up and do everything I want and need to do each week. Now that we're into July, things are going to be a lot calmer. So I am really looking forward to having time to dig in and spend plenty of time writing and learning YouTube and video editing and social media stuff, because I'm already looking ahead to doing some things for Halloween and I want to be good at them. As of right now, all I have going on in July is my upcoming paranormal investigation at Crescent Sanatorium. That's next weekend, July 8th and 9th, and I'll be uploading next Friday evening at 7 p.m. as always. I actually don't need to be at the sanatorium until midnight that night. This investigation goes from midnight to 6 a.m. all night. So I'll be sharing that experience in the following weekend's Beach Club video. I'm still scouting around for a place to go in August. There are lots of places to investigate throughout the country, but I don't want to travel far or have to stay overnight, and a lot of them are rather pricey too. I'm ghost hunting on a budget. So if any of you have any suggestions, please comment below and let me know so I can check them out. All right, that brings us to giveaway time, and there is only one giveaway tonight, which is the Bonfire Beach decal. This is the one you get. This is what it looks like on paper. Looks like on paper, so you can see what it looks like, but this is the one you would actually be receiving. This cannot be purchased in the Beached by Sherilyn Korber store on teespring.com. Link to my store is in the description box, and one of the things I'm going to be doing in July is designing more beached merch and listing it there. But you can see what's there now. There are still a few things. The Bonfire Beach decal, however, will not be offered there at any time. You can only get it here by entering to win. To enter, comment below and tell me, let's make it fun for this holiday weekend. Tell me how you are celebrating the 4th of July, whether you're in the US or you're in somewhere else. Tell me what fun things you are doing this weekend to win the decal. Winner will be chosen at random, and please include in your comment a way for me to get in touch with you should you be the winner. All entries must be posted by 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, July 5th. All right, everyone, thank you for kicking off another weekend with me. Have a safe and happy 4th of July, and I will see you next weekend. Take care.